What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today we're going to be looking at a topic that probably isn't going to make anybody happy, and there's going to be a lot of numbers in here, but I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible because I also need it to be as simple as possible. And we're just going to be talking about whether or not the NHL is going to play this year, whether or not it makes sense. We all know what's going on in the world right now, and hockey, unfortunately, is not one of the biggest priorities. Now, we all need to recognize that hockey is not a priority right now. It's the health and safety of everybody. We need to care about humans before a sport here, guys. But I'm under the impression that the NHL is having some trouble right now, and I think everybody's seeing that. So I'm going to be looking at some information here. We're going to go through it together, and we're also going to put our heads together, and we're going to talk in the comments about whether or not the NHL should be playing next year, or if it makes sense, or what any of this money and stuff like that means. We're going to be looking at deferred payments, escrow. There's so much to look at when it comes to the NHL next season, and there's a lot of talk lately, and there's been a lot of headlines talking about whether or not the season is in jeopardy. So definitely, if you are new to this channel, make sure to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Join the squad. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers before the end of this year, so please do check out more of the videos and subscribe if you like. But what I want to talk about here is the Hockey Writers posted a little bit of a news article here. Let's try to increase the zoom here so we can read this a bit better. But while on TSN Radio Vancouver, Craig Button, regardless of if you like him or not, said that the NHL doesn't have a television deal that pays enough to make up for no fans being in the building. If the players stick to wanting to be paid as per the original terms of the CBA, because obviously the CBA was just negotiated and the players and obviously the league agreed to it, there's going to be changes apparently. So Button says the agreed upon CBA includes projections, and when those projections were done, fans were part of the equation. Without fans, the owners in the league need to adjust. So without the fans and the revenue coming in, obviously that changes all the financial things that has to go with the salary cap and everything like that. So apparently they want to change up everything. So I think it's going to take real significant collaboration to understand that it's nobody's fault here, and that maybe what's being asked for is not out of the question, but that gives the players an opportunity to ask perhaps for some things that are important to them. But if you ask me about the jeopardy of the season, listen, the NHL does not have the benefit of the NFL and NBA, where the TV money is so significant that it can cover off your expenses. You can afford to play without fans. The NHL does not have that luxury. Now, the NHL has, I believe, a new TV deal that's going to kick in next year, and or they have something expiring. I've read that the NHL does have possible money that's going to be coming in. They can renegotiate with some TV stations, and that'll help bring in some revenue over time, and it'll help them in terms of the salary cap and everything like that. And that's why this sucks right now, that we're going through this right now, because it was being said that there was a possibility of a higher salary cap in the next couple of years before all this stuff happened, and more teams could spend more money. But of course, when this happened, all that got tossed out the window. So basically, this is explaining everything right here. We definitely need to increase this because there is a very small font here. Now, the NHL obviously wanted to launch on January 1st, 2021, and now there is clearly going to have to be some renegotiating, rebargaining to the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement. So some players, I guess, were saying we just signed a new CBA 4 months ago, and now they're trying to walk it back and change the structure on us. That's bull. If we came to them and said we wanted to amend the terms, no way that would fly. So while Friedman and the Athletics' Pierre LeBrun are optimistic that things could work out in the end, it definitely puts a damper on things for now. So this is explaining some of the terminology that they're using, and this is HRR, which is hockey-related revenue. So obviously, when you do things like ticket sales, parking, merchandise, concessions, that's hockey-related revenue. That's pretty simple to remember. After accountants do their thing, once the season is over, there's a hockey-related revenue that is split 50-50 between the NHL and the NHLPA, obviously the players. If the players earn more than the 50-50 split due to their salaries, that's where escrow comes into play. So the league takes that money. So this is escrow, and it's being explained here. Friedman wrote in his dissection of the issue, to understand the emotion, recognize that to players, escrow is the dirtiest word in the dictionary. There's nothing else even close. But this is what escrow means. It's a financial agreement where a third party holds and regulates payment of the funds required for two parties involved in a given transaction. It helps make transactions more secure by keeping the payment in a secure escrow account, which is only released when all the terms of an agreement are met, as overseen by the escrow company. So in this case, the NHL would be taking that money, putting it away and being like, well, when we hit all these goals, well, when we get to this point, that's when this money can be released. That's when you have this extra money. But I don't really know how that's going to work. So Don Fair and Gary Bettman will speak again today, which I think this was put together a couple days ago. The NHL has asked for an additional 16% in deferred salaries and adjustments to escrow limits in the last 3 years of the CBA. Both sides are committed to playing, but this is a big ask and require much more negotiating. So basically, it's a piggy bank, but it can only be broken open when certain measures are met, which is what I was saying before. For the NHL, that means escrow is a safety net for when revenue forecasts are off and the players get larger than a 50-50 split because of their contract money due. So every year, players put a percentage of their salary into this escrow, so into this, quote-unquote piggy bank. And every year, how much they get back is determined by what's needed to get to that 50-50 split. So just basically, I'm going to try to explain it a little bit more. So the players are basically going to be giving up more of their contracts in deferred payments as per what the NHL wants for the CBA. So instead of getting paid your full contract, you're putting a percentage away to be paid later on in your contract because the NHL is not making enough money right now to just pay out all these contracts, and they're making more than the 50-50 split. Escrow, the NHL wants to take more of that money, put it into this bank of money, and then split it after they start making money again and start making enough to be able to pay out those numbers. But just to put it into simplistic terms, the NHL wants more money from the players. The players don't want to do that, and it's looking more and more like this is going to be a problem because players want to get paid what they're supposed to. And I know what a lot of people are going to be saying, when a player makes $1 million or even $700,000, like the league minimum, that's a lot of money, like, oh, I would love to play for that much money. But what I try to do is put myself in their shoes and think, first of all, that's a lot of money. Of course I would. But when you're already kind of expecting that money, it's not as much as, in your head, it's like, that's not a ton when I know I can get paid more than that. But let's just say for the average, minor league player that's finally getting a crack at the NHL, $700,000, you're already getting money taken away from taxes. Now the NHL wants to take more away from you in deferred payments. You'll get that money back later, but when is the question? And then obviously escrow, they're going to take more money off your contract, and all of a sudden it becomes an even bigger problem because now you're not getting paid anywhere close to what you're supposed to. So I also need to look at this. So player A signs a deal for $1 million for the upcoming season based on the MOU. $200,000 or 20% of that goes into escrow, and he will only be paid $800K over the course of the season. If hypothetically the final hockey-related revenue is $3 billion, meaning each side gets $1.5 billion because of the 50-50 split, and player salary equal $2 billion across the league, then $500,000 comes out of the escrow to pay the NHL, so they hit that 50-50 split. It's expected a lot more would come out of escrow this season due to the huge hits the NHL is expected to take without fans in the stands for, at minimum, the start of the season. So the league is going to be paying, like the players is going to be paying a lot more into that than what people think. So basically, it's going to be tough. So deferred payment, like I mentioned before, players take cuts now and then they'll get paid later, but not when. It's when that's going to happen. So this is, we talked about escrow already. The league is definitely going to have to look into this, but this is another good example. Player A makes $1 million straight up in 2020-2021. $200,000 go to escrow, and then based off the remaining $800,000, $80,000 goes to the deferral. So obviously the deferred payment, so you'll get paid that later on. and the player is left with 720,000 before taxes. So especially in places like Ontario, you're definitely, so like Toronto would get hit with some pretty big taxes, so that would be much less than 700,000. 250,000 goes to escrow, leaving 750,000 with 150,000 deferred. Then the player takes home 600K. So there's a couple different options for plan one, which is to increase the escrow 25% and deferral to 20. Plan two is to keep the 2020-2021 escrow at 20%, but increase deferral to 26% in 2020-2021 and escrows in years 4 to 6 in the CBA between 8.5 and 9%. There's a lot of numbers here. It's a lot of confusion, but the players want to get paid an equal amount, and it's just, I don't know how it's going to work if players are going to be taking an even bigger hit when they've already been taking hits for the past 3 years. It needs to come down to this. The most simple way I can tell you guys is that the players and the league are going to have to come up with a middle ground when it comes to these percentages for deferred payments in escrow. And if that can't happen, I mean, who knows if the NHL is going to get started on time or play at all, because man, it's not really looking like they're on the same page here. And I hope that by the time I even finish recording this video, that all of this nonsense means nothing and they've figured something out. But if they don't, is there going to be a lockout? I hope not. Let me know down below what you guys think. And again, if somebody understands these numbers as well, if I didn't explain it properly, make sure to comment that down below, because listen, we're all trying to figure this out. We're all trying to figure out what's going to happen. And listen, we need some help here. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you are new, make sure to subscribe, join the squad. I appreciate you guys, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.